It's become clear to me recently, um, in particular in recent years and in recent circumstance, that um, that men in general don't know how to resolve conflict with romantic partners, with family, and in particular with other men. And we're in a sort of John Wick-like society where, you have the embodiment of masculinity and, our lessons for what a protagonist should be like are, clearly emotionally damaged people like John Wick. His wife dies and there's a home invasion and, they kill his puppy that his wife gave him, and he goes on a murderous rampage. He kills hundreds of people. That's not an exaggeration. You know, and that's how we're brainwashed as men in this society, that we should deal with conflict, that when difficult things happen, and you grieve over it, whether it's the loss of a spouse or the loss of a family member, whether you're grieving over death or feeling any sort of strong emotional pain, the way to deal with it is through violence, is through anger. And that's what makes a man a man. Your willingness to inflict that pain upon someone else to make yourself feel better, to sort of balance the scales of justice by doing the most unspeakable things. And when substance abuse becomes involved, as one can imagine, things go very, very sideways. That I think many men use substances to suppress emotion. I mean, I know that I have. And as the universe works, that emotion cannot be suppressed forever. It will come out in negative ways. It'll bleed out. And then you find yourself alone, estranged from friends, from family, from romantic partners, from the world, right? You are no longer able to operate in the world like you were before, because you can't deal with the emotions that are already inside of you, and you cannot deal with the new emotions that are arising as you interact with the world in real time. And so I see this problem in particular in the rurality that I live, that there isn't an avenue for these conversations. There isn't an avenue for healthy expression of emotion, but there is every avenue for substance abuse and violence. And so I make this video, not necessarily with a solution in mind, outside of wanting to open the conversation, that as a society we are not going to be able to move forward and build a better society unless we take care of the men in it. And that has fallen to the responsibility of women to mother us, to love us, to give us space to lick our wounds, and their reward for that is our rage, is our violence. And so the responsibility was never that of women in our society to take care of men. It is the individual responsibility of a man to take care of himself, but as a brotherhood, we must learn to take care of one another and have these conversations openly and honestly, without violence and without being under the influence of any sort of substance, to be able to feel the emotion that we are suppressing. And so I implore those of you that are suffering, I implore those of you that see other men suffering, to create space, a healthy space, to talk and to heal. And that is the only way that this society is going to survive. And we are seeing the consequence of not doing that. We are tearing ourselves apart from within. We have so much rage about, the pandemic, about the government, about what's going on overseas, about taxes, about regulation, about climate change. And instead of acting to find a solution, we are reacting in violence against one another. So please, join my army and let's start this conversation.